All right, here's the latest auction that we just came back from, and as you can see, there's a mess of extension cords there. That was one lot. Here is another lot. It came with a stainless steel sink, and I think the listing said aluminum shelving. So if you look inside this box, this is all extruded aluminum. How much is there? I don't know. I'm going to get to this. I'm going to show you how much I paid for it, and we're going to weigh it up and we're going to get a value out of it. This is a mess of wire. I'm pretty sure the ad said, I'm going to show you all this. The ad said a lot of wire. So it has all kinds of Romex in there. That looks like some copper wire right there, some big thick copper wire. It's got some of this SO wire. Look at this. This must be 1 gauge wire, and there's 4 of them in that SO. And I don't know. We'll dump it out and show you. Here's some Romex 14 gauge, and it looks like a little bit of aluminum wire there. All right, and then there's this motor here. The lot said unknown motor. I ended up getting that motor for, I don't know, $5 or $6. I'll show you. And here's the granddaddy of them all, the one that drew me to the auction here. I seen this, and the listing said copper service wire. And that's what got me going there. I'll show you the price on that, what I paid for that. And I think the ad even shows my max bid on it. I was willing to pay more for it. But we're going to weigh that up, and we're going to strip that down. I'm not sure why people didn't bid higher on this, because maybe it looks like aluminum. I don't know, but it's copper. That ground's copper. So we're going to break that down, and I'm going to show you what we paid for the entire auction, which was, total bids was $128, and with the fees, a 10% fee, it came to $140.80. So let's go ahead and we'll just start with the stainless steel sink and the extruded aluminum, because we literally have to do nothing except for weigh it and then put it in the scrap pile and haul it to the junkyard. And then we'll go to the extension cord. I'm going to keep some of this extension cord. Some of the cords I have right now are kind of getting wore out, and there was some good stuff in there. So I'm going to keep a couple of them, and then we'll see what we come up with on a value. All right, let's get started and breaking this stuff down. All right, so before we weigh this up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this auction here. A lot of people want to know where we find this kind of stuff. You know, this was a local auction. It was an estate sale. And Charlotte always talks to the auctioneers when we get there while I'm looking through the stuff. And they told her that the people that own this house, they moved 3 years ago into a condo and left the house sitting for 3 years empty, or not empty, but full of all their stuff that they didn't take to their condo with them. And they kind of said that they think they were maybe hoarders, because they had brand new in the box. They had a couple of different food processors. They had bread makers, they had donut makers, they had several crock pots, brand new in the box. He had several tools that were pretty new, and then in his shop he just had some stuff that he'd probably stored up there. But so they were gone for 3 years. Everything in the house just sat there, and they eventually passed away, and their kids took over the estate and just had an auction. And I'm sure they went through and took anything of that they wanted, and then put the rest up for auction, and the rest was left for, you know, the highest bidder. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and start with that stainless steel sink and that aluminum. That was lot 348, so we're going to weigh it up and put it in the scrap. That's all we got to do with it. So real quick, let's do that. So we got a stainless steel sink, and we'll turn this on. It's not going to be much, but $6.8 pounds. 6.8 pounds. Right in the scrap now. And the extruded aluminum. Extruded aluminum sells for $1.28 a pound. There we go. That's nice. 22 pounds. 22 pounds of extruded aluminum. All right. And there's a steel bar in here. I don't know what that is. And a steel lockbox. All right, so we're going to do the extension cord next. I'm just going to cut all the ends off of it real quick, throw in a box, and we're going to weigh it up. And that's all it's to that. All right, let's weigh it up. All right, let's tear this bucket out here. All right. That is all the cord I'm scrapping. And it comes up to 27.1 pounds. And I'll go throw this right in the extension cord basket. All right, so let me give you a running total where we're at so far. So the total cost of this auction was $128 plus a 10% fee, which was $140.80 total. Out of that stainless steel sink and the aluminum, we got a total of $29.67 out of that. And we paid a total of $770. Now the extension cord, we paid a total of $34.10 for that, and I ended up making $33.88 out of the scrap. But I kept 3 of those extension cords, and I mean, if you're buying extension cord, you're going to be paying for just the cheap stuff. You're going to be paying $20 for a 50-foot section. So I just took a 22-cent loss, but I gained probably $30 or $40 in some extension cord that I'm going to keep. So we're going to go ahead and break down this wire. This box of wire that I paid $39.60 for. Right here. I'm just going to strip this down. There's a bunch of, just all kinds of wire in there. Let's see what we can get out of it. There's going to be some Very Bright, and there's going to probably be some number 2 wire in there. Let me get all this Romex separated and then we'll throw it through again. Okay, we're gonna strip this thing down now. This is a big old fat piece of wire there. It's got 4, looks like a 1/0 or yeah, something like that. 1/0 wire in there. There's 4 of them in there. So let's go ahead and strip this down with our stripper, and then we'll have to strip those 4 individuals down. This thing's heavy. All right, so I got all that SO core wire done, and that was some pretty thick stuff. I mean, look at that, it's almost as big as my pinky. So, all right, but it all turns out to be number 2 wire. It's not Bear Bright. So we're gonna go ahead and weigh it. So we got number 2 wire, and we got Bear Bright out of that. What was it? Lot 516 that we paid $39.64. So let's go ahead and weigh up this number 2 copper and turn this scale on here. We got zeroed out here. So this is the bucket here. All right. Pretty darn good. 26.55 pounds. That's real nice. All right, and we got some Bear Bright to go here. Here's our Bear Bright. And we got 11.55 pounds. All right, so before we get to how much money we made on that SO wire and that Romex wire, we're gonna go ahead and take care of this service wire here. Now I paid $51.70 for that. And I'll show you a picture on it there. I think I was gonna pay up to 85 or something like that on my max bid on it, and people stopped bidding. That's a lot of wire right there. I'm gonna cut it up. We're gonna strip it down. I don't know if it's gonna be number 1 wire or Bear Bright. So let's go ahead and strip this down real quick, and we're gonna weigh it up. Then we're gonna total up the whole auction. And I'm not gonna worry about that red unknown motor right now, because I don't want this video to be too long. So let's go ahead and strip this down. We'll cut it up first, and we'll strip it down. We'll weigh it, and then we'll get a grand total on the total auction. Like I said, I spent $140.90. So I spent $140.80 on the total auction. And let's go ahead and finish up this wire here. so I got all that stripped down, and we're gonna weigh it up and see what we come up with. This was the lot that really drew me to the auction when I saw that service wire, and I thought it, it was listed as copper service wire, so I'm not sure why too many people bid on it, but anyhow, let's go ahead and weigh it up. Scale on here. She's at 0. Start some of this here. Yeah, this stuff is just nice, thick, heavy stuff here. And I've got this here too. All right, there we go. There's all that copper in there, and it comes out to 65.75 pounds. All right, let's add this up, and then we'll go over the final totals and see how we did on this. I think we did pretty good. So I just want to let you know, this was an extremely good auction for me after I added all the numbers up. These auctions are out there. I get a lot of comments about where do I find these auctions, and they're local auctions. Check the internet for auctions in your area. I use auctionzip.com, and I can just go to their search menu. You type in your zip code, and I always do like a 30-mile radius search, and it'll bring up all kinds of auctions that are online and physical auctions that you go to. But it's getting cold out, so there's not too many physical auctions going on right now. They're all online, and it looks like they're all turning to online. But anyhow, let's get to the numbers on this auction here. If you want to go out there and make some money, these auctions are out there. You just got to search for them. So let's go ahead and add up the numbers, and I'll show you what we made. All right, so I showed you already the sink and the aluminum, the extension cord. So we made $29.67 off of a $7.70 auction. We made $33.88 off of a $34.10 auction, but I kept some of those extension cords, so I'm okay with that. Here on the wire, that lot of wire had 11.55 pounds of Bear Bright in it, and that's paying $4.40 a pound for $50.82, and 26.55 pounds of number 2 copper that's paying $4.20 for $111.65. So for that total lot, we made $162.47 off of a $39.60 auction. So now the service wire, the one that really drew me to the auction, we ended up paying $51.70 with the fees and everything. And as you saw, we got 65.7 pounds of number 1 copper. That's some heavy, thick copper. It's going to go as number 1. And at $4.30 a pound, $282.51. Like I said, our total cost, $140.80, and the total revenue that we got off of that, $508.53. So like I said, that was an extremely good auction for us. We did really well, a whole lot better than I was expecting to do. I didn't think I was going to make that much money off of that wire, and like I said, I think I had my high bid for that service wire at $85 or somewhere around there, and ended up paying off $282. Great buy for us. Yeah. Hey, we thank you for watching our videos. Charlotte had to go in the house there, so she's not out here to say goodbye. But we got a lot of scrap to get to the scrap yard so we can get paid. If you like this auction, stay tuned for the next one. I got a really good deal on a lot of things. I talked in one of the other videos about the transformers, or the lights in the transformer video. So you're gonna have to stay tuned to see if we got those transformers from that auction. All right, so hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.